God. I hate OBS so much. Oh, I hate it. And Macintosh. I was given this Mac. It's the only reason I use it.
Oh, yeah?
Really,
Well.
really. After like 2014, I decided to never give them money again. And OBS is free.
Really?
All right. Hello. I'm so mad. Sorry we couldn't game tonight.
Yeah.
It happened.
It is what it is. I was just really excited to get into the battle and stuff that is pending. Like we're in the shit.
Truth, I can't remember.
We are.
I can't remember what was going on.
I actually went back and listened to the stream of last week today, or at least the last like hour and a half of it, because I wanted to try and kind of refresh, because I was unsure about who was going where.
Yeah, so we ended up at the base of the tower with, 15? I forget what they were. They were some kind of devils or something.
Well, I mean, it's the guards of the tower, is my understanding.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's me, you,
oh, right, I just remembered where in the hell we were.
Exactly, literally.
Really, I was like, I'm the DM and I have no clue what you all are talking about.
No idea what's going on. Yeah.
It's like, oh,
I was going to say, we left Haygen and Heiðr on Radagast out in the middle of the mud swamp with Orca. Her name's not Orca. It's Orca
Octa.
Octa.
Her name's Octa.
That's close. Kind of close.
Yeah.
I forget. Did Melwell go with us or stay with Hayden? Stay with Hayden.
I have no idea.
LOL.
I mean, I do, but it's just a random. Why don't you guys back it up a little bit?
Okay.
Instead of, you like starting, you're like, what's the ground green? I don't know. How about you talk about where the hell you are?
Okay. Well, let me start off for a bit. I remember we started off at making our way to Justdale through a crowd, and some of us were taking damage and trying to keep up with each other.
And you were in Sigil.
Yes, and then after a amount of time, we finally made it to Justdale. And the Harmonium is in front of the building.
You didn't make it to Justdale.
We never got to. We got to the ladies' ward, and we went to bone fingers, finger bones.
So
yeah.
This is what happened.
And that was a big roll too. We got
Lord.
lucky.
We did. Well, we got lucky that Pox was there at the finger bone.
I'm not even going to start. Go on. Fuck it.
Well, it was going to be, if we lost the fate roll, it was going to be Harmonium that we're in. Can somebody correct me on the actual...
All right, you guys decide. I'm going to get coffee. Fuck y'all.
Okay. Yeah, take a break, Will. We'll be here.
But no,
right.
That's what it was called. But wait, I thought the finger bones place was where we went to, where we sort of followed Cox to get to. Because that was the place, like, emo bartender, right?
We were following Octa to a place that she knew of where we could maybe, and he said fate roll to see if Cox just happens to be there.
Yeah.
And so we found Cox there, and he wandered us through back alleyways and God knows where to try and get to some barge where, the merchant's ward. To get to some barge that. And
then we immersed ourselves in a vat of beer.
Yeah, that was
You're right. You're right.
Because I remember the whole emo bartender talking about how life is awful and wish we were dead, all stuff. Yeah.
Yes. So he took us there.
Cruel, aimless existence without meaning.
Yes. And then he
Would you like
took
a
us
beer?
into the back after getting. We all got beers. We went in the back, and we got into the beer barrels. Popped the top off of them and thought of
Something
the
like
most
a nightmare.
depressing thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was what took us to this.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. And when we got there, it was like 3 foot, 4 foot of mud.
Easy.
Yeah. So the tall people.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, as I listened to it, there was a point where I jumped off of Haygen to leap like 20 feet towards Cox and just kind of plopped into the mud. Luckily got Cox to pull me out because Will said afterward, he was like, "Yeah, no, you would have had like Constitution saves to get yourself out of the mud, or you would have died." I was like, "Oh, great."
Oh yeah. Also, the air voice.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. Air sucks. You've got a gas mask though.
Yeah, it's like literally, like there would have been like almost no other reason I would have used that gas mask. We just happened to be going to a place with air poison. Okay, cool.
Yeah. No, I'll be honest. We were all kind of laughing at you because you went through a cloud of poison that didn't affect your breathing at all, and you were like, "I need a gas mask." And we were like, the gas mask won't help with the thing that hurt you twice that you walked through. And then here's mud in our eye. We get to a place where the gas mask is like the best thing you could have bought. It's well done. Well done. It's D&D.
Well, and what I thought with the gas mask was, in terms of the cloud kill thing, I didn't have, like, in terms of my armor, there's not much exposed anything, in, like, terms of skin. So I was like, okay, well, if I can come up with a way to, unexpose the part of, like, my head, basically, I should be fully, covered in terms of the gas, but who knows?
Okay. I see the actual logic behind that now. Yeah. No, that makes more sense. We just always were kind of like, it's not your breathing that is. But
Yeah.
no, that's good. So yeah, no, the rest of us are slowly dying, and then we finally, after traipsing through the mud for a little while, and I realized that I had a potion of vitality to get Mellowell back to fighting strength, and gave that to her, and she was like, "Hey, we could probably just teleport up there." But yeah, so we dropped half the team at the base of the tower with a whole bunch of guards, and half of the team is still out in the mud pits, about an hour and a half or so behind us, with sirens or
Harpies, I thought.
harpies?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're circling, and the second at Lumos will probably be, he's my guess. If we were to take bets, I'd say it's going to be Lumos, who loses hope first.
So he's the one who's been like totally most freaked out.
Yeah.
For like the crying and stuff. But, yeah.
And so he would be my bet as the one to lose hope first, and therefore draw attention from the harpies. Because I think that is what? I think that is probably what's going to happen. They're going to be dealing with harpies. Narratively speaking, that would probably happen towards the end, so that ideally they show up after a round or two of getting the shit beat out of them. Yeah. But
Well, see, and I told, obviously it'll depend on the outcome of our particular.
well, and that's the other thing, is that our party has to survive.
Yeah. But basically, I told Heiðr that my assuming we survive our particular situation, my plan is to try and like post up somewhere and like use my rifle to try and like give them fire support essentially while they're coming up on us.
Okay.
But we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I was gonna say because every round is supposed to be 6 seconds. Is that right? So it would be pretty rough if we can't deal with them in fairly short order. Yeah. But on that note, I'm gonna go get a beer real quick, and then we'll continue. Carry on.
I think that's where the game actually stopped last time.
Yeah, we get to the base of the tower, and then we saw, oh yeah, there's a bunch of guards here ready to fight us, and then it's gonna be great.
Mm-hmm.
We're definitely not gonna die.
Yeah, I hope not.
It kind of seems like we've obviously. It seems like the last 3 or 4 sessions, basically, like we've almost every single time it's like, oh yeah, we're about probably to die right now.
We'll stop there. No, you forgot something. Yes, that is exactly where we ended, except for the key detail that as soon as we dropped in at the base of the tower, Cox was like, and just ran at
well, he said, it's like, okay, guys, time to fight. Like, okay, we're going to fight now.
He brandishes weapon and attacks.
Yeah.
So
as a quick aside,
the battle.
Band name, fictional character Death.
What?
Band name, fictional character Death.
That's the band name?
Yep.
I like it. I feel good about that. I would go see fictional character Death.
Yep.
Yeah. I like it.
I feel like had to be like some kind of. I don't know. I'm not even sure what kind of. I feel like that name could fit into a bunch of different kinds of
music.
Genres, yeah.
Yep, agreed. Are you masking for you or us? Oh, you're at your mom's house. Never mind. You're masking for your mom. I'm an asshole.
Incorrect.
Forgive me. What? I'm confused. It's okay. It's okay. But yeah. So I'm kind of waiting until he gets back, but there's something I would like to breach with him and gauge reaction on about my weapon. Yeah. Because there's a good chance right now is when it is going to be terribly pivotal. Yeah. What's that?
I could see that.
Yeah. Yeah, especially with things that we just found out about it, in that it's made of the bones of Orcus. Yeah, that's a pretty key detail that I think we're gonna find out is a pretty key detail. So, you ready to jump into it, Will?
Yeah, give me 1 second.
So no, okay, all right. Deal. But yeah, no. Cox has definitely is charging to start the fight. He's wanting to be the cavalry. I was talking to Drizzle earlier today, and we both kind of agreed that we're interested in whether or not he is actually useful in a fight or not. We can assume, based on his grizzled appearance and overall demeanor, that he is effective in battle. But at the same time, we've never actually seen him fight. He's just, around. And so we assume. So yeah, that's all.
So basically, we hope it. Yeah.
What's that?
But at the very least, it's not likely that he'll die. I mean, whether or not he can fight is a question. But at the very least, he probably won't die very easily. So
But yeah, he's undead technically. So yeah, that's yeah.
I can actually I can see the kind of I see if you're undead becoming like a lazy fighter, because if you just let somebody stab you getting close, it's like Urgh.
And that's the thing. He's proven he is slow, and so we can, I feel, pretty confidently assume that much, that he probably can bring some power, and he's probably got some hit points because he's undead, but he's probably not quick. But yeah, so he's slowly starting that battle right off the bat. Yeah. So
it's great.
It'll be good times. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Yeah, because it'll be interesting.
So if you guys, are you drinking my beer?
I am drinking your beer. Yeah.
Fucker.
It has been a full week.
I got COVID.
Pretty sure that's the rules.
I got COVID.
You didn't have it when you were here.
Yeah, I mean, no, this is pretty likely, just because I hear that with this particular thing, it's turnaround's 2 days or something like that. It's pretty short. I don't know.
I mean,
I it's at this point, but it was already in the fridge, so it's done.
See, I nearly took it out of the fridge, and I talked to.
If you didn't want me.
Actually, just so you all know, because we are online and everything, personal details, let's not use. And if anyone doesn't want their name used, and such,
go ahead and say that now.
Don't say it, right? Yeah. Just so you know. Not that we have enemies or anything.
Well, we don't.
Anyway, just keep it in mind. But I was talking to Emrys, and I was like, "Oh, I need to go get that beer," because we were leaving the house, and she said, "No, they're IPAs. He won't drink them."
She said that, huh? You see, the person you should have talked to is Drizzle, who generally, if he brings over beer, leaves one, maybe two, and they're always gone by the next week whenever he gets here.
You owe me 3 beers. I want to be the dirtiest, just stinkiest beer.
How about I continue to have bourbon in the house?
All right. Okay. All right. You can do that. And that big ice.
I'll keep doing it.
That's what I'm talking about.
I'll keep doing it.
I'll bring you some halfway home, baby.
That's fair.
No, I don't care, man. That's all good. I would not have left them there if I actually cared.
I feel like there's a rule there that after, I feel like it's 2 days. Anyone else?
I mean, I don't care at all.
Because I'm not giving them back. They're gone.
Oh, have you drank them all?
At this point. This is the last one.
You douche.
I thought there were only 2. I could have sworn
there were 3.
2.
Because I drank 3. I think.
I may have had another one earlier in the week. I don't know.
Oh, well, whatever.
But yeah.
They are delicious.
They're not bad.
They're good. Fuck you.
Generally, she's not wrong. An IPA is not usually.
It's like a half one though.
Yeah, no, it's an American pale ale. It's not
Indeed.
an India pale ale.
Right.
It's different.
Because it matters to me.
Yeah, totally.
It doesn't.
Totally.
It matters to Hulker.
Way to go, Hulker.
So, what have you all talked about? I mean, you were doing a recap, but it was kind of like describing the inside of a room in the middle of nowhere to people that have never heard of what you're talking about.
I think
Like
we
me.
backtracked
Yeah, we
fairly
definitely.
Do what?
while you were gone.
We gave a pretty full recap
Oh, nice.
while you went to get
Relatively.
coffee.
Yeah.
So, what do you need me for?
Well, I had some questions.
Yeah.
That you may or may not want to answer.
Yeah, I
in
probably
this
won't,
Given
but-
scenario.
What?
Now, that being said, you also know that I meta outside of character, and then
Yeah, you
know,
cheat
do my
hardcore.
best to not. I do my best to not apply any information that I can't apply.
Right.
But yes, I do. I metagame and I cheat as well as I can.
Right.
So, that being said, you modified a Wand of Orcus and gave it to me, didn't you?
Oh, did you look shit up?
Okay. I was just trying
Wouldn't have done
to
that.
do some research.
Told you not to do
I
that.
was just trying to...
I told you a long time ago not to do that. There you go, doing it.
Well, I figured that it was not like, hey, it's going to be this.
Did
I
you
figured
read
that
all
at
about
best-
Orcus?
What's that?
Did you read all about Orcus?
I mean, I skimmed, figuring that you would manipulate his story to your own,
So,
I figured that it wasn't, yeah.
so here's the thing,
Uh-huh.
and I said this earlier. So
Mhm.
we're playing. The setting is Planescape, and when you guys started in the game, none of you knew what that was because it's essentially your first time playing Dungeons and Dragons. Planescape was written, I want to say, in the 90s. I think 93. I may be a little bit wrong about that. Sorry?
It's almost as old as me.
It may have been a little bit later, actually. It may have been more like 97. I'm not sure. You can Wikipedia, it's right there. But it was written for AD&D, or Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, which is essentially D&D 2nd edition, or 2.5. Well, the game's a lot different.
Mhm.
Way different.
In 5th edition is kind of like a throwback to the feel of 2nd edition, just without,
Mhm.
oddly enough, you may not believe it, without so many of the rules. Back in 2nd edition, for example, if you wanted to grapple someone, you'd roll to, essentially you would roll to attack them, and if you hit them, there's a whole calculation of doing that. But if you hit them, then, and let's say you're like, oh, I want to punch this guy in the face, right? No, you can't do that. If you do unarmed combat or you do a grapple, you would pull out the book, find the table for unarmed combat, roll a d20, and randomly figure out what happened.
Yeah, that's when I
That's
started playing, and I was turned off of it for a few years and didn't get back into it until 3rd edition.
I mean, honestly, it was awesome, but you had to have the right feel. Like,
Yeah.
because it's not a video game at all, and really
Yeah.
3.5, in my opinion, was headed that way. 4th edition, which no one ever mentions unless they're stupid, was like they took World of Warcraft and tried to make D&D out of it. And then they just dropped that. Like, I don't even think it was out for a few years before they started making...
This is dumb. Nobody likes it.
4th edition, I mean, it has its merits. There's some things that are kind of cool about it. Specifically what it did with the lore I thought was kind of interesting. But it is... I'll give it this. One of the things I dislike about D&D is it is a real-time strategy game. It's not an RTS. It's a strategy game. So a turn-based strategy game at its core. You're supposed to use a battle map. You're supposed to... Everything's linked around that. That's its basis. You know, it was based off a thing called chainmail, I believe. Which is sort of just the medieval... knights and cavalry and stuff. And there was no roleplay about it. And when we think of roleplay, like getting into character, like the actual... think about, like, if you ever played Axis and Allies and called that a role-playing game. Like, you're technically taking on the role of one of the countries, and you make a move, and you tell everyone what you're doing.
It's Yahtzee and geography.
Yeah. So, honestly, and I don't understand why people like to think it's not that, but D&D has this ambiance behind, like, being a very narrative-based game, and it's really, really not. It's a strategy game. And all of the rules point that way. And then on top of that, like a layer of cake or meringue, is all the flair. And that's your character. And one thing that I will give to 4th edition is it was pretty straightforward about that. Like, 4th edition, most of the powers you had for your classes, like, you had to have a grid. In fact, you'd have once-a-days, you'd have, like, once per encounters, you'd do a maneuver, and it would, like, push a bad guy a certain number of squares and all kinds of stuff. So if you went without a battle map, like, some classes literally just didn't work. And let's say you got, let's say you were level 4, you could only get certain magic items and use them. So if you found, like, an artifact, and you're level 4, you can use it, because you're not high enough level. So 4th Ed was very much, like, owning up to what, in my opinion, D20 is all about. I know
I've created my own game.
Well, I mean, it's a blanketing statement that I just made. D20 systems are not all like that, but I think that D20 systems are best like that. That is a contentious point that I'm making. Anyway, 5th edition, my long-winded response, is like a throwback to a 2nd edition feel, but it's hyper streamlined. And even though it's hyper streamlined, there's a fuck ton of rules. People like to think that D20 and D&D is easy. It's not. It's incredibly heady. You're constantly flipping through books. It's still cool that we're playing it. I think it's awesome. So when you get into Planescape... My point of saying all that is Planescape was written for 2nd edition, which is a massive system. I mean, there's rules all over the place, and it's really cool, and the feel is interesting, but Planescape is not an easy world. And what they actually did was pretty wild. The books were written in voice. Actually, the game that I made, DreadLore, is heavily influenced by the Planescape books. So it's
first-person perspective?
Yeah, I can't remember the actual dude who's talking to you, but he's from the Cage, which is Sigil, or as they name in the book, I believe they call it Sigil, but that's stupid, so I call it Sigil.
It is.
Anyway, another point of contention, and it's like it throws you in, like it's all Cockney, and he's talking about like Burks and Leatherheads and exactly how you guys entered into the game, except it's the rulebook. Now, the difference being, you would pick up that rulebook / setting, and you would already know the system, which is D&D. But what they did was they would actually, over the years, they would write the story of Planescape. And there's actually momentous things that occur. with Vecna, with Orcus, which you guys are playing through those events. It's kind of like, if you remember like the Lord of the Rings game, where you're sort of like sandwiched in between these great events that are happening. My point is, if you go and read the dark, which means the secrets, and you know what's really going on, you will be ruining certain things for yourself. Because you're playing through the game.
Okay.
Now,
Yeah,
you're not playing a module.
Too much.
You're not playing a module. But for example,
That's what I figured.
But if you find out, oh, well, wait a minute, that's really what's going on, and then in our game, you're like, wait, oh, I know the answer. That's on you.
And let me backtrack. That is not what I'm trying to do. I merely read that he is a guy that has a backstory.
Was a guy. He was a guy.
Thank you. Well, I've got one of his bones, and there's a blade attached to it. So
yeah,
I'm assuming he's
So it's an orca bone.
That's different.
It's an orca's bone.
Yeah.
It's a specific bone in Morgan.
A baculum.
No, long story short, I'm still just trying to figure out this weapon and figure out how I need to use it, or if I need to get the fuck away from it, because it's clearly a thing. It is clearly there is something to it that I haven't figured out yet, and the fact that it is made of demon bone is probably a piece of that.
Kinda, yeah.
Eh.
But that's the thing.
That's
That's one of the fun things about DMing for you guys, is that because you're all so new to the game, you don't know. Like, for example, if one of the more veteran players found out, for example, when Bad was in the group, when Jadok was playing, he knows all this. He's read all of Planescape. Actually initially ran a very, very good Planescape game. But his take on Sigil was masterful. Anyway, the moment that it was uttered that you had a piece of Orcus, I mean, he would have. I think that his roleplay would have. He's a good enough role player.
Pivoted.
Do what?
It would have pivoted.
He's a good enough role player to not metagame, but as a player, he would know what that meant, like the implications. For example, when Poe was messing around, and this was actually before you got into the game. Actually, it was before. I think all of you were in the game.
Yeah.
Poe's messing around, and he found this crystal, and eventually it was figured out that it is, or they think it's the Eye of Vecna. That's huge. Like, that's not just huge. That's stupid huge. You know, I mean, that's one of those.
Just carry it around in your backpack. It's no big deal.
Sorry?
So just carry it around in your backpack. It's no big deal. It's fine.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, you know, in some, I don't know if you guys encountered it or not, but, like, I think it happens a lot in fan fiction, where it's like, I find it a lot in, like, Star Wars. Like, Star Wars stories, Star Wars games, Star Wars tabletop, and all that. Someone will, like, be talking about a game or a story they wrote or read, and they're like, oh yeah, this character faced off with Darth Vader and almost won. And it's kind of a tropey thing.
Yeah.
You know, like, of course they faced off with Darth Vader and had lunch with Luke Skywalker and did the waltz with Leia or whatever.
They were important. They know people that you know.
Yeah, and
suck. That's why you never heard of them.
And it's one of those things where like have you noticed how like with cosplay with like Star Trek with Star Trek cosplay, everyone that does it, they're either like an alien, like Spock or something, or they're always a captain. Have you noticed that? Like they've always got right. My point is like it's like a trope. So you hear about these things. It's like if you know the lore, and someone were to say, "Oh yeah, we found casually the Eye of Vecna." Oh yeah, and he's got a bone of Orcus. I mean, if you know the lore, that's a. I would question what in the hell is going on.
Yeah.
Surely you have the deck of many things as well,
I have been questioning what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
Well, at least it makes sense because, like, a group of explorers just, finding something and not knowing where it is. It's like, oh, this is cool. Here you go.
Right.
Yeah. Now, Andrea.
Yeah.
You found the stone from Arborea, right? That was given to you initially?
I thought it was given to you the whole time.
I haven't.
I'm pretty sure it was given to you.
By who?
But then again, I can't say
remember?
for sure. No, not explicitly. Like I said, I'm 90% sure it was given to you from the beginning, but I don't.
Because I thought that you had gotten it, and that you gave it to me, or that I took it.
No.
I don't remember when I got it.
Because whoever got it from the Chain Devil at our bar, and I don't remember why. I feel like there was something involving like somebody trying to figure out how to.
It was when we were in Just Ale, and we were trying to figure out the gateway. We had just gone through the door, and it was completely dark in there. And so I think you're right. I think it was Steral that it was either me or you. I still want to say it was you who got it and then handed it to me for some reason.
Who got what?
Just immediately, like the stone that I got that I have now from Arborea that lit up the area around me.
Right.
Because we haven't really done anything with that since we got it, other than light it up. Yep. All right. Cool. That's really all I needed was that right there. Yeah.
But that's one of the sort of out of game things. I think it's important for DMs as well as players to remember is when you have a long-standing game.
Mm-hmm.
If you hoard things, that's fine, but you have to remember them, and you have to remember the context they're in, because some things are a little bit ad hoc. Now, I'm not saying that is, but I'm saying it wouldn't be the first time that through situation you find something, and like a potion, but you don't know what it is because you haven't identified it. And then, 5 sessions later, which is like 3 months later, like, oh yeah, that one potion. And it's like, I don't know what that potion is.
I don't know.
It's... I mean, I knew what it was at the time. And I wrote it down, but like I've got to flip through pages, and it's in the middle of the game, and I'm like, I got nothing. Especially when, like, the player themselves didn't take the time to write it down. They said, potion, ? And it's like, I don't know what that is, dude.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, and I remember there's like some kind of bone gauge I got like way back when we were still in Tier Min from one of the Drugar. I still haven't written down. Every once in a while I'll look at it. It's like, maybe I should look into that. And it's like, I don't know what it is.
What is it?
Would you say bone gauge?
Well, some kind of bone gauge. You kind of at the time sort of inspired with something. Then I just sort of forgot about it. I don't even know.
You say bone gauge?
Bone gauge. It was like in his ear. And one of the Drugar.
Oh, as in like an earring gauge thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh.
Right.
So it's an earring.
I'll have to look. I'll have to look and see what that is.
But it's easy to forget about stuff like that because it's like maybe it is something, or maybe it's just just a bone gauge that doesn't matter.
And also it could have been relevant then, and now it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
Like, and there's especially in this game, it's been going on for 2 years. There's whole plot lines that have been made completely irrelevant. Like the group at one time had this whole thing with Karrek Tirmen's daughter, Khalif.
Yep.
It doesn't matter anymore. Like, it's been way too long, right? And the group, before you guys even got there, screwed up a bunch. Then when you guys got there, and you were fighting the mummy, and like the negative energy plane was starting to come in, I believe it was, I think it was Jadok, and maybe, crap, Eric's character. I can't remember his name. You guys remember?
I don't either.
Anyway, Eric's ranger character. Quirion.
Yes.
Okay.
Just used it a bunch. So they used it a bunch by accident earlier when they were in this graveyard. None of you were in the game. Later on, when you were fighting the mummy, they used it again, and they used it with Quig, the witch, as well. And it was just burning this. They thought they were trying to bring Khalif back, and like fulfill this bargain they'd made with her, basically removing her curse. And what they were actually doing was summoning her out of the sort of circle of protection she was in into, imagine like putting like spacing someone out of an airlock, or like throwing a vampire into the sun. That's what was going on. And every time they did it, Quig was like laughing hysterically, and they're like, "What's going on?" And they kept on doing it, and just burning literally through these uses of this scroll, until they had like 1 or 2 uses left, and someone was like, "Wait a minute, are we hurting her?" And that was like a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
You know, and you guys left and went somewhere else, and none of the party even remembers anymore. And it's like, well, you know, that plot line, it mattered, but there's a point as a DM I have to say, okay, well, the players no longer have agency over that because the decisions were made. Now we're here.
Yeah.
So there's
in that situation, the only way that plot line can come back is potentially negatively.
Oh yeah,
I was going to say
the ramifications will come back.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. But you can't save Khalif anymore. Like that's done.
Yeah.
Well, and one thing I've always kind of found fascinating, at least like particularly like the last year or so, is like, you know, we're in Tirmen when we all first start playing, and then it's like, oh, you know, here's Sigil, this really cool place we're gonna go to, and it's like, you know, all this stuff. And all of a sudden we get to Sigil, and everybody is like, wait, you were in Castle Tirmen? What? It's just, I don't know, it's just kind of weird how the mythical nature of your location kind of is contextual, I guess.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you know how dangerous it is as well. Because I think at first you all were in Sigil, and basically every single time the fact that you were in Caras Tirmen, or had been in Caras Tirmen, every single time it was brought up, it was a big deal. Like you could sell like, I got this crayon from Caras Tirmen, and they're like, oh my god, I'll give you Latinum for it. But I think eventually you all caught on to, maybe we shouldn't tout this around because...
Yeah, we shouldn't brag about being there.
People will like, you know, come and grab us.
Murder us. To, you know, get there. Yeah.
Or even like, you know, for information. It's like, oh, where was this, you know, this tunnel, and, you know, where'd this go?
Yeah.
Which could be, you know, could be the bargaining chip, but...
Oh, the anger. The anger builds. Anyway, I really dig Planescape. I really dig where you guys have gone, because you started off in what's called a prime material, or the group initially started off in the prime material, which is normal, world, fantasy world in D&D.
Yeah.
And specifically, that alternate prime material is called Craster, which, of course, the metagame there is Craster is the world in my game, DreadLore. So, you move through, get into Caras Tirmen, this detached demi-plane that's like the Dark Tower, kind of like moving through the planes and through the wheel, and that means that it's a dungeon, like a big old dungeon that can kind of have anything in it, right? It's just a big old playground. And eventually, you realize there's a plot that you need to go to Sigil for, because there's some plot with those wizards. A pack of wizards which used to work with Karrek Tirmen, and who are against Karrek Tirmen. You find out there's a plot that Karrek has been corrupted essentially by Vecna, and is attempting to take vengeance upon the Heavenly Court, or one of the high good planes of existence. And in order to do that, he's somehow embroiled in what's called the Blood War, which is the forever war between devils and demons. And when you get the Sigil, you get mixed up with the factions and with the sort of pseudo-factions, like the Craftsmen and the Syndicate and such, which are all homebrewed stuff, and who are affiliated with the factions. And you start finding out that there's this sort of arms race going on, and somehow a group which is attached to Karrek Tirmen is getting devils and demons, and not many of them, but a few of them, to actually work together, which is super dangerous. And that's kind of where you are at this point. You cause a lot of mischief in Sigil. You run into this alternate D&D party, which is Octo, Lumos, and a few other people. And realize...
Did we really run into them, or did we just see them from a distance?
Were you there the last two games?
I was going to say, they're on the carpet with Heiðr and Haygen.
I want to know what physics, Hulker, you are doing during the game while everyone else is playing.
Please.
Let us know. You're like calculating the trajectory of like the Webb telescope or something, like somewhere out there. Yeah, the other group, you met them. You saved them and fought Horn Devils with them, and there's about 12 hours of gaming with those characters.
Yep.
Murad may not know him though. I mean, you never know. He may not have paid at all attention.
You didn't stab them, so...
You didn't stab them. They were, where the hell was I? I was on a rant.
It happens.
Anyway, you realize that, Chris, did you hear anything of what I said?
I've been listening the whole time.
Wow, you got that Bluetooth going on.
Yeah, Bluetooth headphones are...
Yeah. So, yeah, you get out of dodge, out of Sigil, essentially because you've fucked up real bad, and to lay low. But also, this other group, has also fucked up. And the thing is the other group, and you all, have been mistaken for kind of the same group. It's not just for each other. It's that the people, and this is not one entity whatsoever, the many entities and groups that have their eye on you for various reasons think you're all the same people.
Yeah.
As in, you're all a part of a group called the Murad, which is hilarious because that's Murad's name. And they think that Murad is a guy named Hawkeye.
Yep.
So you actually met that other group, and now you're traveling with some of them, realizing that you need to get out of Dodge.
Aren't dead.
Yeah, and
or disappeared.
You're taking up Cox the Dead Hand, who's a mercenary who kills demons. You're taking up his offer to accompany him to the land of Dis. And it's a harrowing journey. The first leg was walking across Sigil. The second, and avoiding the Harmonium. The second was what you did, which is to get to the Abyss, the first layer of the Abyss, which I believe is called Oriabos or Orbios or something. And it's the Grey Waste, which is Bad News Bears. So yeah, no one's really...
Is that where all of the mud was?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, no one's really asked them what the journey entails. You just kind of did it. Actually, Sararith had a dream literally about this, I think twice, has had a vision of what you're doing, and y'all just kind of forgot that too.
What?
Well, I had the dream.
Cheers.
Wait, I remember the dream.
What dream?
It's when you guys were in the ubiquitous Wayfarer's Inn, and you all had those weird dreams. The dream she had is literally where you're going.
Well, yeah, no, I was on a barge, and then he was like, "Yeah, we're gonna take over Dis or whatever," and it's just like, "Okay, cool." And then that's kind of like where the dream ended.
Also, when Cox said or offered you all the job because he was like, "You guys clearly like killing demons," he of course doesn't know that you are working for Rule of Three.
A demon.
You know, who's apparently been slaying demons, which is nothing new. But when he mentioned that, he looked at Sararith and told Sararith, I've seen someone like you. I've seen your family. And that was also just sort of lost to the ether.
The ether, yes.
And it does matter. Definitely matters.
Damn it.
Or
Well, indeed, let's be honest, though. The main reason we're even going on the trip is kind of to get out of Dodge and let things cool down and Sigil for a little bit.
In fairness, we were like, but yeah, let's go ahead and get out. Let's not be here anymore. Yeah. Okay.
But when hell occurs,
no, sorry, the timing is not helpful.
Go on.
I'll let you go. Okay.
No.
I was just gonna say, it'd be ironic if like our whole goal is to lay low, and then the other group is still fucking things up the whole time we're gone. So like we don't actually have any. Like we're not accomplishing anything when you get back. It's just like, oh, we're still in the shit. Cool.
Wait, because the cleric I saved, we don't know what's going on with them, right? Because Lumos and Octa, there's one more party member that is still alive, and we didn't find.
At least.
Because, wait, just to clarify, Galantine was part of their party.
You don't know.
But she was rolling with them, though. I mean, she was like there with them, as far as I could tell. I would assume that based on our interaction.
Yeah, you can assume that.
Okay, cool.
I mean, that's one of the things, like, you don't know. Maybe.
No, absolutely not. No. I have been reworking that whole narrative here lately because, ultimately speaking, I sat and had tea with her, and then at the end of the conversation, shit started to blow up over there, and I was like, oh shit, that's my people. I gotta go, and I just walked out on her.
Yeah.
And so
then you forgot about it.
Speaking, well, and that's the thing. Narratively speaking, okay, meta-wise, I have no idea what our conversation entailed, how long we were sitting there, what was going on. Whether or not Dav knows any of that?
No. I mean, he could make a roll or something, but at this
that's
point,
what I was figuring, is that maybe with a roll he could garner.
Yeah, I mean, I think in a moment where he could actually sit down and think about it, sure. And at present in the Grey Waste, probably I mean, he could try, but it would be with disadvantage and really high.
Yeah, no, exactly. And
I think it's something to think about.
I've been thinking about it, but no, right now it's not necessarily the first thing on his mind, other than the fact that we may, in fact, be in a place that she could either get to or was, in fact, dropped into whenever she opened a portal to bring us both.
Here's the other thing is,
wherever.
Dav knows where she went. It's just Dav doesn't know the planes very well. So those are the questions. Like, those little hints are usually dropped, and they are important. So if you guys as players don't pick up on them, it's okay. It's just that eventually that snowball gets bigger and bigger until eventually you're like, wait a minute, why is all this happening? Why is there an avalanche? Well, like the narrative has to catch up eventually.
So Dav would know where he was dropping?
I mean, I told you where Galantine went.
I mean, I feel like you said hell.
I did.
Okay, is that all you said? Or did I miss another detail?
I said hell.
Oh, okay.
I actually described it too.
Okay.
Look, we are live streaming these things.
Yeah.
That's true, yeah.
You can go back and be like, you didn't say hell. You said this other thing.
And that's the thing is, I was telling them as you were going to and that's what I thought. That's all I remembered.
I'm pretty sure
we were going to hell.
I'm pretty sure I told you.
Well, I mean, we're back in hell, aren't we?
No, you're not.
Okay, and that's where my question.
But here's the thing: does Nav know that? And this is where the Chris metagaming happens.
Right.
So you got to be careful because it's not. There is a puzzle aspect to these things. There is an aspect of the players need to figure out the obvious things, but at the same time, just finding a reason that your character would know is metagaming still. Yeah. Like, well, wait a minute. I know we're not in hell. Does Dav? Whoa, well, he'll roll. Why? Why is he rolling? Why would he question it whatsoever? Oh, well, maybe he's questioning it because he knows that where she went was hell, and he knows what it looks like, and this doesn't look like that. It's pretty good. I could deal with that rationalization. However, that's not why you're rolling. You're rolling because I just told you you're not in hell. And you want to rationalize, I know I'm not in hell. Right?
Right.
Is it okay? Is it not okay? I mean, I think that's a discussion. That's a discussion for
I try not to do stuff that is that far.
What I'm saying is it's
a
cool.
hell of a bad thing to do.
It's not a bad thing to do. It's a gaming question. It's another point of contention. I think some people would say that is the worst thing you can do. It's metagaming as hell. It's cheating. I think other people would be like, of course it's cool. It's playing the game.
On the topic of that, how are you gonna not like okay? I guess what I'm trying to distill down to a thought is that in last session was probably the longest actual real-time session that we've played in a long time. In that we spend hours. We spend longer in game time than we did in real time last game session And that's the first time I think we've done that.
Well,
I've been playing with you.
Yeah, it doesn't happen often.
Usually,
we're like
we have at least one battle where every round is 6 seconds. So, like,
it's a problem with D&D.
the real time aspect of our characters spending time together is so much less than the 4 hours that we usually spend on a Monday night.
Right.
And so, or more. And so that notion of the fact that we spend a week thinking about what we might do in the next 3 hours of gaming in real-time game, on a regular basis. We are spending 7 full days thinking about what is coming next in the game, which could only span, 3 weeks ago, I want to say you guys got through one battle. Like you spent the entire time from, somebody did this one thing, and then it was just rounds of battle the entire session, which was, probably a couple minutes.
Not even 1 minute's 10 rounds.
Yeah. And so ultimately speaking, we spend 7 days thinking about what the next 7 minutes could hold.
Right. Right. Well, no, you're completely right.
The fact that our next section is going to be battle, like starting right at battle, we're doing nothing but metagaming until the next couple minutes.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Our game lives.
Well, here's the thing. So, now we're talking about like how to play, and when it comes to metagaming, it's got a bad connotation to it. But metagaming's not always bad, right? For example, you guys have a big old puzzle. There's a cliffhanger to be continued next session. Of course you're supposed to think about it and figure out what you're going to do. That is a kind of metagaming, right? Table talk, that's a kind of metagaming. And we could probably distill those definitions down a little bit, but I think it's perfectly fine to have some of that going on. It's just, do we all have the same headspace as we're approaching the table? As in, what does the game... What are we supposed to do as players who are engaging in the game? Right? What is acceptable? And that's what you're supposed to do.
As I understand it, not everything that meets a broad definition of metagaming is necessarily a game killer.
Right. Right. Like someone, for example, back in the day, we were playing through some modules in AD&D, the specific setting, and it's the kind of setting where everything hinges, kind of like a horror story or a mystery. Everything hinges upon the players knowing the big secret, like a Poirot episode or something, or like a Sherlock Holmes. Well, every so often, one or two of the players would just happen to not pick up that one thing. They would always go for the right thing, or they would always go for the correct door, And what you realize is, well, they read the book. So the question is that a big deal? Like, is it such a big deal to read the end of the book before you read the whole book? Or to look up all the spoilers before you watch the movie? I know plenty of people that they hate surprises. They will watch all the spoilers before they watch The Sixth Sense. Yeah. Just going to happen. Is that cheating? In this game, I would think it's robbing oneself of the suspense. And so long as a player can tone it down and make character decisions as though their character knows whatever, everything's cool.
Yeah.
But the moment that someone's like, well, I'm going to find a reason to use, Orcus's axe to punch Karrek in their face and then do a dance and swing my hat over my head.
No.
You know, which is the answer, by the way.
I feel like, yeah, I need to punch Karrek and then dance. Okay.
And swing your hat over your head.
Doing it.
A better player would help other people figure out the mysteries if they've already read everything.
Right.
I feel like there's been at least a handful of times where it's kind of like I can't even reach to come up with a reason why my character would even like think to maybe accidentally do that thing that I know is right. But I can't even do that, and that would probably be stretch. So nope, he's just not doing it. He can't because he doesn't know any better, and it's frustrating as a player to be in that position. But as an actor, and as you know, a character, it's like there's I can't betray the character and the story in that way to act in a way that it to me it ruins suspension of disbelief at that point.
Right.
Which I feel totally applies to this, as in, you know, any other form of entertainment. You know, it's your metagaming is a different level of the game, but the character is what drives the plot and what drives the fun of it.
So I feel,
for me, half of the fun of D20 is that, okay, cool, I'm going to do a backflip off of this thing and plant an axe into this guy's head, and it's going to be awesome. And then you roll a 2, and no, your item doesn't break because you're that shitty, but you fell on your face. Like, I enjoy that aspect of this is what I want to do, and oh fuck, this is what actually happens, because that's real life. Like, you can plan all you want, but it doesn't always go to plan. That's not how real life works, and sometimes you're just rolling the dice and you roll it too. Yeah.
Well, that's one of the things too, is like some people, I mean, and I'm that way as well. But some people hate that. Some people, you know, they're not playing a tabletop role-playing game to simulate life. They're actually doing it for the very opposite reason. So when they have the fighter and they go up against the big bad evil guy, and they're like, screw you, and they pull out their sword and they're like, I cut his head off, and they roll a 1, they're like, that's bullshit. Like, I'm not playing this game to fall on my face. I do that in real life. Like,
cut his head off.
Yeah, I'm doing this game to win. And this is what I'm talking about with Headspace. Like, regardless of system, which I think there's an argument when it comes to system there, big time, it's why I made my own system. But with Headspace,
I was going to go there too. Yeah.
With Headspace, it's a big deal. It's what is everyone trying to get out of the game? Because if I'm trying to run a mystery game and you all are trying to kill the bad guy, sometimes it coincides and sometimes it just conflicts. You know, because you're supposed to pick up clues, except you're stabbing people. Or maybe it's the very opposite. You know, where you're like, all right, everybody's going to kill the bad guy and raid the dungeon. And you guys are like, we're going to make friends with everyone. Right? Like, the headspace has to be the same, or else you get into really weird situations. Or you got to be real flexible. What do you two think? What kind of game headspace do you two like to play?
Well, and the hard part for me is figuring out, like, with, like, you know, the sort of metagaming aspect of it. It's like, well, what would my character even actually know? And, like, you know, that's the hard part. Like, when even looking stuff up, it's like, well, what would someone reasonably, you know, with, like, my life experiences in this world, just sort of know, you know, like, obviously, you know, such and such is a really powerful, you know, everybody knows that kind of thing. You know, it's like, it's hard to parse out what are the rational things for something that's like your character to know, as opposed to, you're just trying to metagame, so you have sort of like a leg up in the story kind of thing. But
Okay.
I just pick something to go with it.
Which is typically a knife.
Yep.
Wait, did they insult you? I like your guy.
Yep.
Murad's fun. I mean, he's the leader, so that's.
Speaking of which, I had a funny thought a little like when we were discussing a little while ago. So how funny would it be if, like, because, you know, Will, you alluded to the fact that we could potentially create a faction, you know, or that if we wanted to. So how funny would it be if while we're in Dis, we're gone, the other party creates a faction, they're still called the Murad, so we get back and there's this new faction called the Murad, and everybody's like, oh yeah, the Murad, you're so cool. It's like, hey, wait, that's us. And they're like, oh no, you guys are just a bunch of posers.
That won't happen.
You're giving him ideas. Yeah.
It's like a movie.
There's only one thing to
We're
do.
gone for a couple of months. Yeah.
There's really only one thing at that point to do. Roll for initiative.
Yes.
Because we have to stab them.
Yeah.
Because nobody makes me bleed my own blood. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm reporting people for pornography.
What?
What? On your Discord?
Is this on Twitch?
It's on. Well, actually, Twitch just sort of. I mean, thus far, Twitch has been really good about censoring, but YouTube is not. You get a lot of people with Russian names. I don't know if they're Russian or not.
Is it Cyrillic?
Yeah, and it's just they drop links so people will click on them and go to their OnlyFans or their porn or their whatever. And then there's someone called Loveface just reporting the hell out of them. They just spam. They see live streams and they're like,
I'm gonna get on there. Yeah.
Don't get off that.
Yeah.
I probably need to set up like a bot or something. I'm sure I can, and I just don't know how to do it. Whatever.
Only online strips, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. I mean, I guess they're on the stream, so it's giving us a count. That's kind of cool.
You know, that works, yeah.
Yeah, I think that you guys are in a really cool section of Planescape because you're not supposed to know everything. And honestly, you can't know everything. I don't know everything. I've got to look it up. But you get little tastes of these different regions. So if someone in the next game or two says, oh yeah, blah, 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 Sigil, you guys will know what you're talking about. They'll say, well, yeah, you know, Sigil's the greatest place in the world. I mean, you guys know quite a bit different because you've been hanging out in the Hive and the Lower Ward, mostly, which are the worst places. Hands down, in Sigil.
Although, you know, I mean, let's be like, you know, the Just Dale's pretty cool. I mean, you know, other than the fact that you're right next door to a place where we constantly get into fights. But
yeah, you guys are in like this little island of your bar is in this island of the Hive that is not completely and utterly destitute. You also haven't gone into the Hive much. Like you've just been hanging out.
That was the impression I got, was that we kind of got into the Hive and we were like, cool, this is as far as I want to go.
Right.
Seems like a nice place. Woohoo, great. I can't remember what happened, but we were like, oh, we could just go back that way. And somebody was like, I wouldn't go that way.
Mm-mm.
I
wouldn't go that way. There's nothing over there for you.
I wouldn't do that. That's a
and
bad idea.
You actually went through the Lower Ward fairly unscathed. You stuck to one of the major streets, didn't really get into the alleyways and such, and you weren't there long enough to start getting affected by the absolute horrible industrial air there. basically the lower ward is one of the major reasons that Sigil is so polluted, right? Because it's got the Great Foundry and all that stuff. And you started. Sorry, go on.
I was gonna say, so the dwarves, when you go, or like the ones that are in Justdale all the time. So they're basically going across the bridge every single day for work, I guess. Because I always assumed that the foundry was in the hive. But I mean, other than we found out it wasn't.
No. The thing is, though, just because, like, if you're gonna walk from where you are in the hive, you'd have to go across, one of the bridges. So, like the Furlong Bridge or Furling Bridge or the bridge that spans the world or whatever, and then go up Spireward to the Great Foundry. Assuming those dwarves are going up there, that's a pretty long trek. I mean, like, you're talking like a couple hours one way. But that's generally not how Sigil works. It's called the City of Doors because there's portals everywhere. So if you actually know some of the portals, you can just walk through a door and be there.
The funny thing is, like, one of the only ones that we actually know about is literally just goes through the wall.
Right.
Doesn't actually go very far. It's just here you on the other side of the wall.
Right. Like, you know of one little sector in Nightshade, and that's the thing is, there's portals everywhere. You guys really haven't found any. Halfway, because some of the portals you can't just walk through. You gotta do something. Like turn this. Like there'll be like a bust, and you like turn it sideways and go through, or there's a command word, or you walk backwards through it. If 3 major portals. Like the one with Rule of 3, which takes you to the Abyss. Of the one in the Barrel of Stout, which takes you to a different layer of the Abyss. Which is where you guys are, the Grey Waste. And well,
there's one in...
Technically, the Grey Waste is not the Abyss, now that I think about it. They kind of changed it in 5th edition. Let me look it up really quick.
Where was that first deal that we broke up? Was that at Nightshade?
I'm sorry?
Nightshade. That was somewhere else. The first deal that we broke up.
Oh, Zuluk's Bows.
For the Rule of 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a portal there.
Portal there. Directly to Karrek Tirmen.
Right, but you don't know how to use it.
Nope, not at all. We know it's there, but not at all. That was one of the things, as I was listening to last week's stream today, that I noticed was that as we were traipsing through, Sigil with Cox, following him step by step, we'd look up at places and see people go through doors and appear on the roof. Like, we would see people using portals, and you were making a comment about it. It's like, I'd love to do that, but we can't spend time fucking around with portals right now. We need to get there, and Cox, though slow, is going to get us.
It's true. He didn't use any, and that's actually important. The other thing is, just like everything in Sigil is, nothing's free, and especially knowledge, of portals. That's something you got to barter for and figure out and pay for, and you can even hunt for them, and they change. It's something you guys haven't really delved too much into because you haven't had to. But having the knowledge of where portals are, especially ones that are stable, like a stable wormhole, or that are fixed, is fucking huge. If you know those things, that you can make a lot of jank. Or you can just be really powerful. So that's why it's so important to find a tout or someone that you can quasi-trust or whatever to lead you around.
Which, speaking of, as I was going through my PHP the other day, I realized that as a criminal, anywhere that we go, I have a reliable contact in the criminal underworld that can tell me things. Didn't realize that.
Well, so here's
The
technically,
book states
technically,
that regardless of distance, I have that connection. Now, whether or not it's going to take me
I hate players.
months and months and months and months to get that information back or not, that I would say is up to you, sir. But
I hate players.
that the book says I have that contact. I don't think that's up for debate. I'm just pull it up.
It's
right
interesting how, you know what?
in front of me.
You should look in the, you should read the rest of that book and see what it, just look up what it says about Dungeon Master.
Yeah, you can do whatever the fuck you want.
Look
Exactly,
that
that's what I'm
up.
saying.
It's
That's
interesting
what I'm
how
saying.
players always conveniently forget the entire first part of that book that's like, so, these
Dungeon
are
Master
suggestions.
Yes,
That said,
yes.
there's no reason for me not to allow you to use that. Now, but it's
Right.
got to make sense. For example, I don't know, if you're in the fucking abyss, and you're like, I've got a criminal contact here, because I've never been here before, and I don't know who I am.
Yeah.
I mean, we could make something work.
Once again, fully realize that no, I'm not trying to just throw that out there. Hey, my guy, okay? But at the same time, yeah, no, I had no idea that a guy existed, and so I was
Like
it
an
wasn't
ally or
even
something.
a thought in my mind that I've got a connection that based on whatever I should be able to send out for this information.
Well,
now I
it's-
do. I'm trying to pepper that in there.
It's not a bad idea.
Maybe.
I mean, especially that's the whole point. You know, those are. I think the reason that they even put backgrounds in 5th edition, because I don't think they were in previous ones. I think they put them in there for exactly that purpose. You know, because they didn't know what kind of game you're going to play, and you're like, well, shit. If we're hanging out in the Hive, in Sigil, literally the center of the plains. You know, maybe this is where you find your criminal contact, and they turn out to be a quasi-ally, and because it's in the center of the plains, you got access to a lot, sort of a criminal network throughout the plains. But you also have to be open to the idea of, it's like, okay, well, you know, let's say the dude's a chaotic good angel of some sort who, you know, kind of bends the rules a little bit. Maybe he's not a criminal, you know, kind of bends the rules a little bit
Maybe.
to make it work for the greater good. They probably know no one in certain parts of hell, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever. And I think just keeping it fluid is fine. But that's something, you know, interesting. You won't find anyone where you are, because there's no organizations.
Yeah.
Or there's nothing like that anyway.
I had no hopes of that. Like I said, the first thing on my mind at this point is the fact that we're going to battle the next time we
All
start.
right.
Like
I hate to
I
interrupt.
have no.
But I'm probably going to call it our night for me.
I was.
It's all good,
just
man.
About to do the same, actually.
All right. I'll see all of you probably Monday or whenever. If we're going to reschedule it,
Yeah, we'll have to reschedule it. Is there a day that any of you are better for after Monday?
I will post all of the ones I'm available for on Discord tomorrow.
Awesome.
Cool.
Peace out,
Sunday
Holger.
night, y'all.
Pretty much.
This is probably a good point to leave. You guys have anything else to say?
For me, I'd say for like next week, probably Tuesday, Thursday, or Friday would be better for me. I could work whatever, but just because I have to be up early on
Yeah.
Tuesday and Thursday.
Yep, that's cool.
One quick question I was thinking about earlier. Did you have a particular prime material that my character was like from? Because I realized we haven't actually even talked about that at all.
Yeah, we
Like,
really
where my
haven't.
character-
So
Okay.
she's from it. It's not a demi-plane, but it's just an alternate prime material. I figure that Sararith is actually from one of two places. She's either from Craster, just at a different point in time, in a place that has Sprock and Theurgy, which is technology, or she's from somewhere that's kind of like, well, let me see. I may actually be, yeah, that's what it'll be. Because I don't want to pull it into this. There's this other universe that I played with a little bit, but I actually don't want to pull it from there. So that's what it's going to be. She's from Craster, just maybe like a different moment in the history. And
So in the sense of, I can't remember I haven't looked a whole lot into the lore of your universe.
Yeah.
But in terms of, I can't remember, was it like the past basically when that stuff was more readily available?
it was. The thing is, so where the group is from on Craster is actually this place called Yoreen, which is this uncharted land that you don't even see on the map. Like, in the game, it's uncharted. And so one of the things I did with this game was I was like, oh, this is what's out there. This is where the game's actually going to be. And you're from the other side of the world.
Okay.
So you're
Gotcha.
actually from Calgary. Like, the city, the main place. That's actually in the book. Right?
Okay.
And so they have access to Theurgy, and they really don't know anything about where these characters are from. So it is kind of like a different world.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So
You're like Christopher Columbus coming to the New World.
Well, and like the aspects of the fact that we've been playing around with time a bit has been interesting. Because like I said, the whole time we were in Sigil, like who knows? In terms of relative to where we came from, has it been a few months? Has it
It's been
a few
hundreds
years?
of years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was this thing where I was talking to Haygen or to Nigel about it. It literally has been like since the time that his character started the game. His character has experienced around 3 years from the very first session that he was in, and that actually wasn't Richmond Fey. That was the beginning of this story.
No,
Because I've tried to tell this story over 3 different games. It's just the same one, and I was like, "Fuck it, we're gonna do it." I was actually talking to him on Saturday about it. Anyway,
this fucking story, damn it!
this fucking story. I drew a map and everything. Anyway, and there was a game where he was asking about getting back to Craster, and he was told Craster's gone. It's dead. It's nuclear winter, like covered in snow. Only dark things are there, and the things that are living are like huddled up like a horror story. Like they lost the battle because the way they could have saved it in game 1, the game quit, and in game 2, the game quit. So that game, the other party that you guys are dealing with, so Octa, Lumos, and those characters, are the PCs from that game.
Oh,
That's where they came from. Those are actual players.
those were the player characters. Okay,
Right, and so it's been several years since they saw Haygen. That's why they know Haygen. Because they literally played a game with him.
I gathered that,
Yeah.
but I didn't.
And they
I didn't
fucked up
realize
real
that
bad.
was the player characters.
Yeah, one of them just straight up went insane because she found out that her god is the bad guy. Which
Cool.
you guys will eventually, hopefully, maybe find out. So there's a lot of stuff like there those are resources you can really pull into. And if you guys could like get together and figure that out in game.
Yeah.
For example, Sararith knows a ton of stuff. It's just, why would she, and anyway.
Gotcha.
Yeah, none of this is happenstance. It's all planned.
That's been the hard part to figure out what exactly my character would know, It's like, because I don't, because I mean, this is all new to me for the most part.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, I don't know anything. What would my character
Well,
know?
that's the interesting thing too, is Haygen is from the same place that Sararith is, but he wouldn't know it. And Sararith wouldn't know that he, they would both call it Craster, though, if they ever were like, so Craster, right?
Okay, and that's the thing I was wondering was because Craster's been mentioned a couple times, and it's like, okay, well, where is Sararith?
Right. And we just hadn't nailed it down. So now we did.
Yeah. She's from Craster.
You're from Craster.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. And there's many names for it.
Around a fire.
There's many names for it too. Like Craster's the name of the world, but you can call it Old Blackroot. Okay. Or the Dead World.
That's interesting.
Yeah. The Dead God. Yeah. All right.
All right. Well, I will catch you guys sometime next week, probably. So.
I was gonna say, let's look at Discord and figure out a day other than Monday.
Peace and long life.
That works. Yeah.
All right. See you guys.
Get to negative there, sir.
I will.
So yeah. All right.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
All right. So, where am I? Wow. Oh, OBS. Feels like a curse just to say OBS. Anyway, if you guys saw this, thanks for sticking in. Pardon all the angst. I thought I had set this whole thing up yesterday and tested it out, and it just seems like every time I do a live stream and try something new, the audio's messed up or something's messed up, and it pisses me off. Lord. So we'll be actually gaming next week, as you may have heard, and I'll make a post on Instagram and elsewhere. We will not be gaming on Monday next week. It'll be a different day. So probably, I'm thinking it'll be like a Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard. If you guys have any questions or if you want to argue about something, just let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe, all that bullshit. And good night.